Our next speaker is an engineering professional with over 30 years of experience in technical sales, marketing, and management. Snehal has worked for startup companies such as NetScreen, Palo Alto Networks, Riverbed, Fortinet, Aerohive, Cisco, and US Robotics. He is a trusted consultant to onboard global partners from business development to complete technical enablement. Please welcome the Vice President for Worldwide Systems Engineering and Technical Service of Stellar Cyber, Mr. Snehal Contractor.
Today, security tools are too often siloed, without enough security people to keep up. And the problem is compounded with too much data. New thinking is needed. We call it XDR, Anywhere Detection and Response, and why we believe Stellar Cyber is the only comprehensive, open XDR platform providing maximum protection of applications and data wherever they reside. That's a bold claim. How do we do it? We eliminate tool silos with 24 tightly integrated cybersecurity apps on one shared data platform, including NTA, malware detection, an automated threat hunting app library, and a user-based analytics app. Tight integration eliminates the need for scripting queries. Why Stellar Cyber Open XDR? A single pane of glass across heterogeneous tools, including your current security infrastructure. Tightly integrated apps working together, triggering automation to deliver proactive responses. Analysts get 10 alerts instead of hundreds. Stellar Cyber Open XDR without limits.
Hello, this is Snehal Contractor with Stellar Cyber with our partner itSdi at the ISOG event. Today we're going to talk about the evolution of security operations and the rise of the X factor.
Let's take a look at the state of offense today. Vulnerabilities are growing, breaches are worsening. The FBI estimates over 400% increase in threats pre-COVID. Offense is easy. Hackers have the ability to download toolkits and generate attacks very quickly. There's hundreds of them available today. Defense is difficult. It is very difficult for us to counterattack these ever-growing vulnerabilities and breaches that are happening today. Let's take a look at the state of defense today. Look at the different budgets that are allocated to various different security tools that are out there. Battling with tools and basic logging is not enough. We're getting millions and millions of alerts per day. Trying to retain and attract talent is difficult. In many cases, security teams just don't have enough resources or enough people to battle these ever-growing number of tools and logging that's coming in. 1 million alerts. Imagine parsing through all of these alerts day by day by day by day. This is what the hackers rely on, is having millions of alerts, and they're able to insert an attack in those alerts and maybe come out at the other end not being visible. And of course, the problem is pleasing the managers. We can't please a CEO when we don't have visibility in our security landscape. The state of defense today is rule-based alerting. So many tools we have out there, including the SIM tools, that are all rule-based. An analyst may have to build new rules as new attacks are being invented. The challenge today we have is efficiently reduce the risk against threats. How does an enterprise efficiently respond to threats? There's various different threats. The users are getting phished. Malicious processes are being installed. There's lateral movement, cloud-based attacks, and the exfiltration of data. Today's pain points are we have lack of visibility and siloed tools. Lack of visibility because the correlation is manual. I may have visibility from each individual tool, but it's very difficult to piece it all together. And when we can piece it together, it's time. It takes us days, weeks, and sometimes months. We have very inefficient detection and response. When we do find a threat in one of the tools, Our response mechanism is manual. We may have to go to the firewall to block an IP or a port. We may have to log into Active Directory to disable a compromised user. This is very, very expensive, and you've got a very large security stack. Platform at Stellar Cyber, we feel, is the right approach. Let's take an analogy of some of the tools we've had historically. 15, 20 years ago, we had a firewall that did its job. It blocked applications, it blocked ports, it even blocked IP addresses. Fast forward today, we have a platform-based firewall. The firewall now has not only firewall functionalities, but VPN, routing, IPS, and sandbox. All of these tools are now comprised inside what logically makes sense at the perimeter, a next generation firewall. Let's take a different analogy, endpoints. McAfee was a pioneer of developing endpoint protection. Fast forward today, you've got companies like CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, who now have a platform approach to the very simple antivirus detection approach that the old school endpoint protections had, like McAfee. Today, a platform EDR system can prevent, detect, and respond from a single user interface. Let's take a look at a platform from a SIM perspective. Traditional SIMs, ArcSight, Micro Focus, Splunk, Logarithm, you can name any of the SIMs today. They're very, very isolated tools. They ingest logs. You have to manually go ahead and create your threat hunting rules. Take Stellar Cyber as that next generation platform, which is unified. It has many different data sources that's being integrated, not only log sources, but we want to have visibility into network traffic, log traffic, cloud data, as well as endpoint visibility, along with hundreds and hundreds of pre-configured security detections that are built in with machine learning to look for anomalous activity. When you do find a threat, from the exact same tool, you can now take a response. You can send a message by simply clicking on a button on that security event to block it on the firewall or disable a user, or even with the integration of any tool such as an EDR, you can even contain that host. All of the visibility, correlation, and response mechanism from a single user interface. That's the next generation platform. Here's a quick graphic on the Stellar Cyber Open XDR. Today, again, we have tools that have individual data sets with individual respective security detections. A SIM tool collects primarily log data. All of your syslogs are being aggregated into a single tool. You can now manually create rules to look for certain activity. NDR has visibility to network traffic. It's looking for anomalies from a network perspective, packets off of a network. Endpoints do a great job of detecting threats directly at the endpoint or the client. Again, each one of these tools looks at a different data set, log data, traffic data, and endpoint visibility. Having individual tools, you're going to have isolated and individual events. Trying to correlate those, put all of those pieces together, you're going to have a pretty slow response time. If I did see a file being downloaded, how do I know how it got into my network? Well, maybe I have to look at my firewall logs. Did it have lateral movement? Did it exfiltrate an endpoint? Each one of those detections may be part of a separate tool. and I'd have to piece it together manually. The Stellar Cyber Open XDR single unified platform integrates the data in the application. All of the data, your log data, your network data, your cloud data, and any other data is all ingested into a single data lake and normalized. Normalization is very important to make all of that data look identical, because then our platform has many different security detections, many different tools such as sandbox, malware detection, IDS, anomalous activity detection, user behavior analytics. All of these tools are looking at that common data set to look for threats and anomalies. As well as machine learning is being applied on the fly to correlate all of those different events. You can only have the correlation if all of the data is inside a single platform. And when you do find a security event, you can easily, once again, take an action of blocking it on the firewall or disabling the user or containing the host. Stellar Cyber is the innovator of the world's first open XDR platform. Open XDR is everything detection and response. Many other companies look at XDR as simply an extension of detection and response, or everything detection and response. All data in your network, full visibility, protecting the entire attack surface effectively and efficiently through an open, unified, correlated, and intelligent security operations platform. I've talked through this a little bit, and I want to show it on a graphic of the 4 key components of a platform to correlate incidents and response. First and foremost is visibility across the entire attack surface. Network visibility, endpoint visibility, cloud identity, and apps. Network visibility, for example, we have sensors that we can deploy physical and virtual environments to look at all of the packets. Or we can have integration with partners like F5, firewall partners, where we bring in the logs that we can convert into network traffic. So that example is we can get the data ourselves, or we can integrate with any other tools that you have in your environment today to grab that same type of data. Once we grab the data, we'll normalize it. We will also enrich it through data infusion, which is now that I have a record that's been normalized, I can take a look at the IP address and see part of our threat intelligence database if it was a known maybe scanner or a known brute forcer. We also enrich it with geolocation to apply some additional security detections to it. As you can see here, machine learning can now automatically correlate all of the different security events with the various different data sources and give you this graphical view. I now know that a malware was downloaded, how it was downloaded, if it had lateral movement, if it had exfiltrated data. All of that visibility in a single user interface with our machine learning correlation that automatically happens. Now that I've validated that there is a security threat in my network, I can immediately take an action directly from this user interface. I validated that I've had a, for example, I validated that I had a successful brute force login. I can now take that user and disable it in Active Directory. If I see that there is maybe a tunnel that's been open outbound and they're exfiltrating data, I can immediately select that event, send a message to the firewall from the same user interface to block that traffic. As well as if I find a host that's been compromised, I can contain it with my EDR integration. Thank you for attending the Stellar Cyber session at the ISOG event. For further questions, please contact itSdi or Stellar Cyber and request a demo.